Hey fitness friends, Diane here. April's here, things are blooming. We want to get ready for all the outside things that we want to do. So I have a very special strength workout for you today. If you're just kind of kicking back in to a fitness routine and you want to get started slowly, if you've never done it before, if you've been not exercising for a while for whatever reason, this is a great way to get started. And by the way, make sure that you check out my Smiles and Squats program for the month of April. That will help you jumpstart for the entire month, guided by me, your coach. So check that out. But today's workout is about learning how to do 3 of our basic body weight exercises correctly with correct form, and also learning some modifications that you can do if you happen to have some joint issues, some knee issues, hip issues, whatever that might be, shoulder issues. There are modifications for everything we do. So I'm going to show you 3 modifications for each of these exercises today. So what are they, you ask? Well, number one thing that everybody needs to know how to do properly and to practice every day, the squat. I know I've heard a lot of people say, I can't squat. My doctor told me not to squat. The reality is the functional movement of the squat is how we get up and down out of a chair, up and down off the toilet. So those are things you need to learn how to do. And we want to learn how to do them so that we're not putting pressure on our knees and our ankles in a way that's not good. So we will look at that. Number 2, a push-up. And everybody went running out of the room, I'm certain. But that really helps our upper body strength. And even if you have shoulder issues and not very good upper body strength, there are modifications of the push-up that you can do against a wall or against a countertop that will help you gain some of that strength and mobility back without doing any damage to your body or your mind. So we'll look at that. And the third one is a sit-up. I don't call them crunches. I don't like that word. That thing that we used to do in the 70s where you pull on your neck. Not good. So we're going to do sit-ups. And again, I'm going to show you 3 variations that you can do, even one if you can't do the sit-up motion because of inner ear issues. We'll do a reverse crunch, reverse sit-up. And I will show you those. For today's workout, you don't need any equipment at all. However, for some of the modifications, you might want to have a sturdy chair or a countertop or a wall that you can use for balance and for the modification. We do some of the work on the floor, so you want to make sure that you have a good, safe floor space to do that. If you want your yoga mat, that's absolutely fine too. So grab those things and let's get started. Let's first look at the squat form. To begin the squat, we're going to get our feet in squat position. That's somewhere between hip width and shoulder width. Some people find it more comfortable to turn their toes out slightly. We're not plie-ing, but maybe slightly turned. And play around with the width of your feet until it feels right. We're going to start by hinging our hips back. Upper torso is perfectly straight. We're going to hinge our hips back and then down. Notice my knees don't come forward over my toes. This is good squat form. What you do with your hands doesn't matter. We want to avoid rounded shoulders. We want to keep our shoulders back, our hips back. We don't want to come down over our toes. Once again, proper form. Start with butt back and down. Modifications you can do for the squat. If you're new to this, it's a good idea to start with a chair squat. So find a nice sturdy chair. You don't want a folding chair and you don't want a chair with wheels. I'm going to position my chair so that you can see it best. You're going to get close to the chair. I like to have people start in a seated position. That way you know you're not going to miss the chair. You're going to come to the edge. We're not sitting back. Leaning forward, getting your feet in that squat position. If you need to push yourself off the chair to start with, that's fine. What we're going to end up doing is what I call a touch and go. We're not going to hang out and take a nap in that chair. That's the chair modification. Another modification using a chair that you can do, especially if your balance is uncertain, is getting your feet in that position. You can also use a countertop for this. In a lot of our warm-ups and some of our workouts, I will call for a quarter squat. And what that means is we're just going to go part way down. A quarter is different for everybody. And then a full squat is to your full range of motion, whatever that is for you. And there you have good squat form and some modifications to help you out. Now let's look at some push-up modifications. I know that's a dirty word to some people, but believe it or not, there are a lot of modifications that you can do that will help build that upper body strength without looking like you're training for the armed forces. Starting position is going to be a wall push-up. You're going to start by putting your hands on the wall at the same level as your shoulder. Again, adjusting your feet will be the key to this push-up. So we're going to come down, keeping your back flat. Don't stick your butt out for this one. I like to say nose to the wall. The further you have your feet away from the wall, and again, notice as I put my feet out, I've got to adjust my hands, the more difficult it is. So you can kind of work your way down in difficulty with the wall push-up. Counter push-up or chair push-up is another good modification. I do a whole routine in my kitchen using my kitchen countertop, so I'll put that in the cards above if you want to take a look at that. Great thing to do while you're cooking. Your chair or your countertop, if you're using a chair, again, make sure it's not on wheels and that it doesn't fold. And again, you're going to get yourself positioned, and just this time, we're not aiming for our nose, we're aiming for our chest. We're keeping our back flat. Regardless of the modification you're using, that is very important. Flat back. Again, however far away you are, makes it more difficult. And the last modification I want to show you is on the floor. We're going to do what's called a knee push-up. So come on your knees. If you have tender knees, you can put a blanket or a pillow underneath your knees. Again, your wrists should be under your shoulders. You're going to come down and push up. This is the hardest of the modifications. And there you have the forms and modifications for your push-ups. And the third exercise of our basics that we're going to look at is a sit-up. I don't like to call them crunches. That's kind of an old school word. They're sit-ups. So let's look at a traditional sit-up as we used to use in CrossFit, and then we'll look at some modifications that you can do as well. So for the sit-up, you're going to start with your feet flat on the floor, your knees bent, and you're going to come back down, hands over your head, and then you're going to sit up and reach through. Again, I'll do a few so that you can get the idea. If that's a little difficult, here are some modifications that you can use. If you have a sturdy piece of furniture or one of our resistance band doorway latches, you can put your band on the piece of furniture or in the doorway, position yourself again into the sit-up position, and come back and use the band to assist you until you become strong enough to do it on your own. If you have some upper body issues or perhaps some inner ear issues where it's uncomfortable to do that type of motion, we can work our core with what's called a reverse crunch. On your back, you bend your knees and come up, and then straighten your legs, and then come up. So that's the third modification that you can do for the sit-up. We're going to start out with a baseline exercise. And what that means is we're going to do this routine right now at the beginning, and then we're going to repeat it at the end of the month so that you can see how much you've progressed in your fitness and your strength, your flexibility, your mobility, your respiratory system, your cardiovascular system. You'll see a big difference. So the baseline is very simple. It's 8 squats, 8 push-ups, and 8 sit-ups. Whatever modifications you need to use for those 3 things, you're going to use, and we're going to repeat this 3 times. If you get exhausted and 3 times is way too much, that's okay. Because what we're going to do is make note of that. We're going to write down the modification that we did for each, how many repetitions we did, which would be 8, hopefully, and how many rounds, and that would be 3 if you complete it. And finally, how long it took to do those 3 rounds of 8 repetitions of those 3 exercises. Everybody got that? All right, let's get started. I'm going to mix up the modifications so that you can see the differences. The first round, I'm going to go the very most modified in each one, and then moving up into more difficult modifications until the third round will be the hardest. All right, everybody, start your timers. Here we go. We're going to do 8 squats. This is on your own time. If you go out of the gate too fast, slow down. Then into 8 push-ups. 8 sit-ups. Most modified reverse crunch. Round 1 complete. We're going to go into round 2. Modification number 2 for the squats was the quarter squat. Going to do a chair push-up for the chair. And sit-up modification, I'll use the band. Don't forget to breathe. Round 2 complete. We're going to go into our third and final round, and I'm going to do the most difficult of the modifications in this round, which means a full squat. Knee push-up. And full-on sit-up. Round 3 complete, and that completes your baseline exercise. Make sure you write down your modifications, the number of reps you did, the number of rounds you did, and your time. And keep that handy because we'll repeat this at the end. Thanks for joining me for today's workout. I hope you learned something, and I hope you will practice our 3 basic body weight exercises. You can do them anytime, anywhere. I like to do them in the kitchen. I can get in squats and push-ups and reverse sit-ups, standing, while I'm waiting for the coffee pot. No excuses, guys. You can do this anytime, anywhere. Be sure to subscribe to my channel. That helps us keep the channel going and bring you the content that you guys have requested. This whole Smiles and Squats program that I'm doing for April came out of requests from my viewers, just like you. So make sure you check that out too. And by the way, leave me comments because I do use those comments when I'm deciding what to create for you next. So subscribe, leave me comments, and most importantly, See you next time online.